I've just taken on a new allotment and it is an absolute mess. I know so many gardeners have the same experience and it can very easily lead to overwhelm. So we're going to head up there now, have a look around and talk about how to tackle a messy space bit by bit. I'm also going to build some very simple garden beds so we can start planting the good stuff. Well, hello everyone and welcome to the Mindful Bumpkin YouTube channel. My name is Leanne and this is my allotment. Or it will be once I've managed to tackle all of this mess and all of these weeds. So this is actually my very first video on my very first YouTube channel. So if you've somehow stumbled across this video, thank you so much for clicking on it and seeing what it's all about. I'm really grateful that you're here. And if you like what you see, I hope you'll think about liking and subscribing so you can keep in touch with me throughout my gardening journey. So as you can see, I've got a bit of a challenge on my hands. When we first took this plot on, we were told that we had a massive sage bush, which we do. And we've also got 3 huge rhubarb crowns, which we've been making the most of. We've already had a couple of crumbles and I've got some gin on the go ready for Christmas. Very excited about that. Also somewhere is apparently a gooseberry bush. We've heard about it from our plot neighbours and from the council that we're renting from, but I've yet to find it, so who knows. What they didn't tell us about, however, was the heaps and heaps of bindweed that are carpeting the plot. On my first visit, I came up here with a hoe and a spade in my hand, ready to get cracking. And I actually managed to clear an awful lot of the bindweed. But underneath we found something a lot worse. So much rubbish. I'm talking bricks, planks of wood, broken tools, even a broken water butt. But perhaps worst of all was loads of broken glass hidden in the long grass and all of the weeds. And it took us quite a long time to clear. It was at that point I started thinking to myself, oh my God, what have I gotten into here? And I started feeling that overwhelm creeping in. And that feeling, along with the typical British weather, meant that I didn't go back to the allotment for about 4 weeks. So this is actually my first day back after that long break. And although all of the rubbish is gone, the weeds are definitely back with a vengeance. The good news is, gardens don't have an expiration date, so you don't need to get everything finished within a day, a week, a month, or even a year. They're an ever-evolving process. There's always something to build and fix, sow, grow, weed out, tidy up. And I think that's the joy of gardening, the never-ending challenge and opportunity. So if your garden looks like mine, the best advice I could give you is to just get started. Even if you're tight on time, I want you to grab your phone or your watch and set a timer for 5-10 minutes, half an hour, or an hour if you've got it, and just pick an area to work on. So for example, you could find a weedy garden bed or a messy area of your allotment and just spend that time clearing away all the debris, all of the rubbish, pulling out some weeds. And if you've got time at the end of that, pop down some fresh compost and cover it over so it's ready for planting the next time you go down. I think you'll feel so much better afterwards. That 15 minutes that you've just spent is way more than you would have done if you just stayed at home with a cup of tea. And if you're anything like me, seeing that bed finished and ready to plant will fire you up, ready for the next task. So I've made a start on the weeds, but I know this is going to take a really long time to completely clear. And I don't want to drive myself crazy chasing this bindweed. So I'm going to pick another job to do today, and that's to build some simple garden beds. I'm not much of a builder, so these are going to be very, very simple structures that are suitable for beginners. So follow along and see how I do it. So I first started by putting the planks of wood out where I wanted them. These are planks that I got from our local farm shop. They are 1.8 metres and 90 centimetres. I just got a bulk lot of the 1.8s and cut a few of them in half. I decided to put tarp down when we first cleared the allotment in the hope that it would stop some of the weeds coming through. And here we are for the grand reveal. Oh look, more bindweed. What a surprise.
It didn't really work. It stopped the bindweed coming up in terms of the leaves, but as you can see, the roots just spread networks all through the soil. So you do need to do a bit of clearing if this is the case before start building your beds. I didn't do a great job of this, partly because I was tight for time, and also partly because once it grows up through the bed, I'll just pinch them out as they come up through the soil. I didn't want to spend days and days and days clearing more bindweed when I know it was going to come back anyway. So then you just dig a little hole for the stakes that I'm going to be hammering in shortly. As you can see, there's more bindweed, so I'm just pulling that out there. The stakes are scrap wood from the same farm shop. They did have a scrap wood bin, so I'm just hammering those in. Now, a hammer is not the best tool for this. I did come back the next day with a mallet that I bought on next day delivery from Amazon, and it did a much better job. And then we're just screwing in the planks. So I'm using 2 screws per corner, one at the top, one at the bottom, to keep it nice and sturdy. And then you have a corner made. And all you need to do is repeat the process around the square or rectangle bed, and you'll end up with something like this. I'm a no-dig gardener, so I'm lining the bottom with cardboard in the hope that it will suppress some weeds, although as we've seen, the bindweed will carry on coming up, and I'll just pick that out as it breaks through the soil at the top. Make sure the cardboard is overlapping, otherwise the weeds will get through the gaps, like that big blade of grass that I clearly didn't pick out there. And last of all, you just fill your beds with compost. So this took 2 bags of compost to fill. I could have added more and filled it up to the top, but 2 bags was enough. It gives enough depth for the winter brassicas that I'm going to be sowing next week. And also I didn't want to fill it right to the top because I'm going to be topping up the beds with more soil as time goes on, and you also want the rain to soak through rather than run off. Again, I should have brought a rake here to even out the soil, but I used my hands and it ended up like that. And here you have it. That is a completed raised bed, nice and sturdy, filled with compost and ready to plant up. Next week, I'm going to be putting in some pak choi, purple sprouting broccoli, all those lovely winter leafy greens. So do tune in and do subscribe to my video if you want to see what I'm planting to overwinter. And just as we finished that garden bed, we looked up and saw some massive black clouds rolling in. So we scarpered off home to get out of the rain. We did come back next day to finish the job, hence the outfit change.
And it really is as simple as that. As I said, I'm not much of a builder, so there are some really, really easy structures that you can just whack in the ground, ready to plant up. All you need is some wood, a mallet, and a drill, and you're on your way. You don't even actually need garden beds to get started. You can plant straight into the soil. However, I find that when I'm dealing with overwhelm and almost that analysis paralysis, building set areas to plant into helps me organise my brain and plan better. So if you're a new gardener, or even better, an experienced gardener, I'd love you to share in the comments how you deal with overwhelm. I know it happens to all of us, so let's see if we can help each other out. And that's it. That's the end of episode 1 of the Mindful Bumpkin YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining me. And if you've liked this video, please hit that like and subscribe button and the bell icon so you can stay updated when I post new videos. Next week, I'm determined to get some plants in the ground, so join me to see what I'm going to be growing over the winter. See you then.